Gopala Astrology channel, where the science meets astrology for common man's understanding. Subscribe and stay tuned to this channel for continued astrological updates. New from our previous video for this about the seventh house. Let's continue that one, and then you will have a better understanding. All right, so spouse and marriage and the relationships, everything is seen through the seventh house. It should not be afflicted with Rahu Ketu in axis in that one. If at all Rahu Ketu axis is there, if it has the Shubha Drishti or the aspect of Jupiter or Venus or Mercury, definitely there is a very good understanding. Even if the couple have difference of opinions, they will still stay as husband and wife throughout. There won't be divorces and stuffs like that. But definitely one of the reasons for separation of husband and wife is the presence of Rahu. One of the reasons I'm saying is the presence of Rahu Ketu axis in the first and seventh house, right? So first house has Ketu, means the people will be very dormant. They will get the spouse who is a little bit short-tempered, because always Rahu will be 180-degree opposite to that of Ketu, right? So that is what is going to happen. They will have a dominant partner, either wife or a husband, depends on that, and then that's the way it is. All right. So all the type of trades that you do, foreign journeys that you take care because of the business, is also seen through the seventh house. All right. So let's move on to 8th house. 8th house is very, very important house. It is the Ayu Karaka. That means all the things that you related to the longevity of person's life is seen through 8th house. 8th house gives the longevity. Okay, it talks about all the things that is hidden deep inside, you know. So if you take a human body, it represents the anal portion, which doesn't get exposed to sunlight, even if a man goes and stands just like that in the sunlight. So this part doesn't get exposed to sunlight. So that is what is called 8th house. 8th house is all about something secret that we all have in our own lives, and whatever inheritance that we get from our parents, right? So that is all seen through 8th house. 8th house is nothing but the money or the life of your in-laws also. That means the 7th house is your wife, for example, I'm just saying your spouse, and their parents is seen through their family, is seen through the 8th house. So all about in-laws and also the property matters, you know, litigations and also long-term illnesses is seen through 8th house. Death. So whenever there is a dasha, antardasha suddenly occurring of the 8th house lord, you know, and the time is up for a man, so he or she may see the death because of the 8th house lord time period. It can be even sub period as well, right? Antardasha, pratyantardasha, so many things can be calculated, right? So once the Maraka planet is powerful at that particular point of time, and also when the 8th lord is linked with the Marak, then this type of things can happen. Okay, so
what are the Marak planets? Marak thing?
We will make another video of that. Even the 2nd house and 7th house planets are very important, plays the role of Marak. So we will do another video on that in detail. But as of now, we will just focus on 8th house. 8th house gives you longevity. Okay, if 8th lord is placed in the 8th house itself, for example, so it will protect it. It's going to give you enhanced life. And if the Saturn, for example, aspects the 8th house, for example, Saturn sits in the 2nd house and aspects the 8th house, or Saturn sits in your 6th house and aspects the 8th house, and so on and so forth. Because Saturn has got the drishti of 3rd house, drishti, and also 10th house. So whatever is the 10th house, so that aspect on 8th house will increase the longevity. Whatever Saturn aspects, that portion gets delayed, right? Even the death gets delayed. Well, that's a lucky thing, right? So Saturn aspecting your 8th house is very, very good. People who lived very long, they have the aspect of Lord Saturn on the 8th house. You can always see a few examples of the horoscopes, then you will know. There's a claim that there is one guy who is in India, in North India, I can't remember the exact state. He may be from Kashi or something. Then he claims, he shows that his passport shows he is 126 years old, right? Possibly that gentleman may have a very powerful 8th house.
You know,
And same is for if Saturn is there in the 8th house.
possible, highly possible. More
Means
than
like
presence,
aspect and position both matters.
Bhava Karako Nashaha. There is one thing to say between Saturn and Jupiter. I will give you this line now itself because you asked me a beautiful question. So there is a big difference between Saturn and Jupiter. Okay, Saturn ka drishti. Saturn's drishti is very bad, whereas his placement is good. Wherever he sits, initially he denies you, especially until 35 years, he makes you work very hard for it. That means the person who has got 8th house Saturn, the first 35 years, the person will have a lot of ups and downs in health also, right? So he grows over a period of time and he gives the best for that house wherever he sits later half of the life. Whereas Jupiter is opposite. Jupiter, wherever he does the drishti, the 5th house, the 9th house, and 7th house, these three drishtis, wherever Jupiter is giving, that gives excellent results, right? If Jupiter sits in the 9th house, for example, sitting in the 9th house, he will aspect the lagna, right? He gives a beautiful body. Structure will be very good. The person, even if he gets smashed with an accident, his body is protected by Jupiter. He will never, because lagna is protected by Jupiter, Jupiter's drishti, right? He will not die. Even if some people die in the accident together with him who had a same accident, the person is going to survive because of Jupiter's drishti. Same thing it goes with the 7th drishti and 9th drishti of Jupiter also. It gives excellent education if it aspects your 5th house and all. Whereas the place where Jupiter is sitting, that bhava gets nasham. It's like a candle. I always tell this in my videos. Jupiter is like a candle. Candle will burn the below part wherever it is sitting, right? Whereas its light is there everywhere. It benefits everyone outside, whereas it burns off the place where it sits. That means
Okay, so you mean like Saturn and Jupiter are opposite.
opposite. They give opposite kind of the drishti of Saturn is bad, drishti of Jupiter is the best. The placement of Saturn is very good in the second half of life, whereas the placement of Jupiter is going to create a lot of problems. For example, if Jupiter sits in the 9th house, the person may not have very good relationship with the father, you know. Everybody says 9th house Jupiter, excellent relation with the father. Not necessarily. He or she may not find enough time to take care of the father. For example, the relationship between the father and the son will not be very, very good for those people who have Jupiter in the 9th house, right? Circumstances will go because it's already sitting there and both of them are benefiting others, but not benefiting each other, father and son. So there are so many examples you can see and try to understand the beautiful nature of Lord Jupiter and Lord Saturn, right? So both of them have different opinions and we will make so many other videos, make it more interesting for our viewers, all right? So, but now let us summarize back what is the 8th house. 8th house represents partner resources, as I told you, spouses, properties, inheritance, endings, whatever gets transformed in life is seen through 8th house. Whenever the 8th lord's dasha antardasha comes, whatever business a person is doing, it gets finished. And then the new thing will come. Like coronavirus came and many people started building masks. Many people started making the soaps, whatever you call, right? So new things comes. The transformation is all through 8th house. And then, of course, sexual attractiveness, occult sciences. Occult, I forgot to mention about occult. We are talking about astrology. So people who have very good 8th house will be very much interested in occult. Occult is something that is going behind the scene, you know, behind the screen. So people who have very good, people who are having moon, for example, in the 8th house, they can sense something. If they enter a particular house, they can feel something is there in this house. They will say, I will not come to this house. And in certain houses, when they just walk in, they will be very happy. You know, oh, this house is very good. They will say that those things which cannot be really explained is occult, right? That is what is seen through 8th house. So it is usually 8th house, it's not good to have the moon there, you know. The 8th house moon makes you very crazy. That's why that in the Kalapurush Kundli house, the moon, when it goes to 8th house, that is the Scorpio, it gets debilitated. It gets into a lot of unusual type of knowledge which you should not have. If 8th house, you have Surya, for example. sun is going to illuminate anything wherever you go. So if sun goes to the 8th house, it will illuminate the gutter. 8th house represents a gutter, and it throws light on something which is hidden. So the people like the criminal lawyers, the people like detectives are born with the 8th house. They are very and then research minded. People with the 8th house, they do a lot of research work. Powerful planet in the 8th house gets you a research mind. Okay, of course, I'm saying moon also gets into the research mind, but moon is a weak planet. It cannot take too much pressure from the 8th house. All right, so that is about 8th house. Anything which is hidden deep and which people cannot see is 8th house. All right, let's go to the 9th house then. 9th house is an excellent house. Out of all the houses, the most benevolent of all the houses is 9th house, because Jupiter itself is the Karaka, is the ruler of this 9th house in reality, right? So whatever the 9th house is giving, 9th house is giving what? Higher education, right? The person will be very learned and very religious minded as well. He always does the rightful things. People who have Jupiter in the 9th house, again, on the contrary, they will be very religious minded people. And once they believe something, their higher belief system will be very, very strong. If why a 9th house is weak, you cannot believe yourself. The belief system becomes weaker and weaker. So all that related to the long distance journeys, people, for example, from India, they travel all the way to United States and they do their higher education. The people in United States, they may travel to England for doing their higher studies. I'm just connecting different places. So that's the way the long distance journeys are related to higher education, even pilgrimages, right? Spiritual gurus like take the example of Swami Vivekananda. During those days, reaching United States of America from India was a miracle, right? There were no, he took a sea route, right? So he had a very strong 9th house. I'm very sure about it. So that is what is 9th house. It gives you a lot of knowledge. It makes you travel for spiritual reasons or higher knowledge reasons and a lot of things. So it also makes you sometimes settle down in the foreign land as well. When there is a connection between the 9th and 12th. 12th represents foreign lands and 9th house is about journey. So you make a journey to a foreign land and you might eventually settle down there. So all that is seen very clearly through this. And then whatever the siblings of your wife, for example, of your spouse, is seen through this. Why? Because 7th house is your wife or a partner. Okay, and the siblings, younger sibling is seen of the wife is seen through the 3rd house from it. So 9th is the 3rd from the 7th, right? So that is being seen through this house. So we have to connect every house. And then 9th lord, whenever he comes in, his dashas and antardashas will push the person to the peak. So the peak of everybody's career is only seen when they have the 9th lord coming as Dashanatham. Whenever the dasha of 9th house lord takes place, the person will go to the peak of his career, of his luck. 9th house is the Bhagyasthanam. All right? It's representing your father.
9th house is a luck. And you also mentioned 5th house as a past karma. So can you differentiate between two? Like luck is also from past karmas and
whatever you have reaped from the past life and it is there with you in your karmic account, that is 5th house. So 5th from 5th is your 9th, right? So the creativity that you build on further, the good things that you start doing based on whatever you already have, the continuity of good thing, dharma sthana. So dharma is something that you are supposed to do, right? The virtuous path. And then what you already have, that is Lakshmi Sthana or a Purva Punya Sthana. 5th house and 9th house are very much related to each other. If your 5th house and 9th house are good, it's also forming a triangle, 159 triangle we call it. We call it this Trikona Sthanas. So 159 is extremely important for you. Because whatever you got from the past life is seen through the 5th house, and whatever you are going to make out of that in the present life is 9th house. The luck of
life. So you mean like 5th house, it is basically our luck which we bring from past, and in 9th house we do hard work in this life. And make a luck
Exactly.
Okay.
So that is what it is. It's a very important dharma sthana. Okay,
got it.
So the ninth lord and ninth house is extremely important. If it is afflicted, it is having negative planets, the people may even change their religion, right? So they don't believe their own religion. For example, if only alone Rahu is there, they don't trust their own father. They don't trust their own religion. They may go and change their religion, dharma. People who gets converted and all that, right? So that's a negative element of Rahu. Okay, unless there is a Shubha Drishti. Always there is a disclaimer I will put. Shubha Drishti of Jupiter or Venus is there on the ninth house, it will save from all these things. Even association of Jupiter there is going to be very good. Now, let's talk about the royal position of the horoscope. That is the 10th house. If you talk about the geographical part, it is the highest part. You know, when sun goes to the 12 o'clock position, mid-afternoon, midday, right? Everybody knows where is the sun, right? That is the highest position in the horizon. That is the 10th house. So it shows your career, your karma sthana, whatever work that you are going to do. Either you are getting paid for it or not paid for it. That's different. We call it as karma. Karma means whatever work that you do. It can be a professional job that you do in your office or everyday activities that you do, and whatever things, action that your mind gives you and you convert it into physical action is seen through the 10th house. Okay, so
Sir, business also, like all earning a business
any
also.
karma, it can be a business or a service. Service is seen through 6th house. Connection, very strong connection between 10th and 6th will make you to work as and then get the money from the companies. Whereas 10th house itself is powerful on its own and very strong influence of planets like Jupiter, Mercury is there. The person can do his own business. He can be an entrepreneur on his own. So everything is seen through this fame and name. And some people talk about 10th house as the house of father. Why? Because 4th house is mother, opposite must be father. So I also agree to this to a greater extent. But actually speaking, the 9th house is actually the house of father. Okay, so this is, I have put this slide, which has got this one, but we have to study more and more R&D is required. Research and development on this topic is required. Whether 10th house is showing the father or it is showing the 9th house, right? So we can always put this topic to our audience. They can always do more and more research. As they learn this, you can always do it. For me, it is 50-50. 50% of father is seen in the 9th house because that is the dharma sthana. All the dharma is taught by your father and gurus. Whereas 10th house is real actions and the name and fame that you are going to get in your business, all the visible actions that people can see you, tangible things that you are doing is seen through the 10th house. That's why 10th house is structure, orderliness. It's ruled by Saturn in the Kala Purusha Kundali, right? Capricorn is the one government. It represents the government. It sets the rule. Okay, they are the Kanda. They say you have to do this, and that authority is given by Lord Saturn, right? So that is why Saturn rules Capricorn, and this gives the structure and career success in this particular area. It all depends on 10th lord. If 10th house has Mars gets exalted in 10th house of Capricorn, right? So why? Because soldier, Mars is an action oriented planet, and when it goes to actual karma sthana, it becomes deeply exalted. So even if your Mars is not placed in the 10th in the Capricorn itself, but if it is 10th from your lagna, any of your lagna, the man will be very active. They will be working. Workaholic people are seen through Mars, right? So that's why if you are a boss, you want to recruit your subordinate, make sure that person, he or she, has 10th house Mars. They will be very sincere to you. I have seen this in many cases, right? 10th house Mars people will be very, very sincere to their bosses. They are loved by their bosses. Okay, so that is it. Because soldier doesn't think, he works. He follows the instructions from the boss. That's what, as a boss, you would like to see your subordinate follow your instructions, right? So it should not be the other way. So that's the, it should not be that your subordinate starts commanding on you. So that is the point here. So let's take up any other questions on 10th house, Rajiv, before we go to the 11th one.
No, we are good to go to 11th, sir.
Excellent. So, but definitely there is a scope of research work here. 10th house is representing father, or 9th house is representing father. We have to keep seeing more and more charts, then only we get the idea. All right. So let us go to the 11th house. Finally, after you do all this, see, the sequence is so clear, right? Again, I want to stress on the sequence. First is the baby is born. Second, it has got its family, siblings it has got. Then it builds its own house, properties. And then, it will have children and it will have a lot of competition. Then it will get married, right? After that, it will see the spouse, parents and parents-in-law and all that. And then he or she starts doing the higher distance traveling, higher education if required, all these things, right? And then he gets into a beautiful, successful career. Now, after doing all this, what's that? It is the gain of the 10th house. Hard work you pump in through the 3rd and 10th, whereas the gain of that, the result, incoming gains, whatever is coming to you, is seen through the 11th house. That is the connection, right? So how nicely the houses are connected, you see, right?
Yeah, I have one thing, like by your conversation, you are stressing on the second house to every house is a gain.
Yes,
Like
yes,
in the first house, you told second house is a gain for that person, like family gain,
definitely,
wealth gain,
definitely.
and then uh, so is it so is it like 12th house is opposite to that house, like will
No,
represent
see,
loss?
okay, hold on. We will come to it. See, gain of 10th house is 11th house. It's very clear. 10th house, you go
Right.
and you do a job, and every month you get a salary. Or if you are a businessman, you get paid from your customer, right? So that is all incoming gains are seen through this. In the same
Okay.
way, you may ask me a question: what is 12th house? So why
Yes.
12th house should be the gain of 11th house? So the logic is different here. See, 12th house represents losses.
Okay.
12th house is seen through if you do mistakes in your 11th house of incoming gains, if there is a non-dharmic path that you choose, okay, a illegal activity that you do, maybe you will get into losses, right? See, at the end of the day, there is something like a product life cycle. You must have studied that in your value
Right.
engineering. I don't know, you have studied value engineering. There is something called product life cycle. Everything that has been born has to grow and then it has to have an expiry date. It is something like that. All the gains that you have got, highest peak will be 11th. And after that, it starts falling down. And 12th house is not only the house of losses, it is also the house of spirituality. See, who can become highly spiritual? See, I don't know whether you have listened to Bhagwan Rajneesh, Osho. Okay, Osho was a controversial type of a guru, but still, he used to say all this. I am a rich man's guru. You know why he used to say that? He said, I only teach spirituality for rich people. I cannot teach spirituality to poor people. He was saying, if I go to Ethiopia and start teaching spirituality, they will kill him, right? Why? Because they don't have basic food necessities, and you go and teach them what is spirituality, they will make you run away from that place, right? They don't want to listen. They want food. They want roti, kapra, or makan, right? Whereas if it goes to United States, there are rich people. There are so many people who have already seen what is life. They want peace. They want next level. That is what is 12th house of enlightenment. He used to say, I will enlighten the rich man. That's correct. You cannot enlighten a poor man who is looking after basic necessities of life. Now, I think the cycle is clear for you. The gain of 11th house is actually 12th house. The gain of all the money that after you have everything, then you have to go for spirituality because you will become a vairagi. Because after you see everything, then you know that there is nothing more than your desire becomes so big that that desire becomes God, right? That is
Right.
spirituality. That is what is known as the 12th house. Unless you see those richness and all your basic things are not satisfied. I don't know whether you have studied behavioral science. There is a subject there, and there is a beautiful Russian physio. I can't remember what it is. He's a Russian great sayer. His name is Maslow, Maslow. Maslow's hierarchy
Yeah,
of.
Maslow law is there, sir. Maslow's
Exactly.
law.
It's called a hierarchy of needs. There are 5 levels of needs for a man. The first level is like a basic food and shelter. Then after he gets food and shelter, now he wants a job. right? That is the thing. And then after he got the job, basic necessities and jobs are satisfied, he wants self-esteem. There is a self-esteem level. Okay, most of us, we will live in this self-esteem level. And after that goes for what is known as self-actualization. After everything is achieved in our life, what else you want? Self-actualization. Gandhiji, right? Gandhiji just wore on dhoti and shalya, and he went to Buckingham's palace. He said, "This is my dress." Right? He was a sannyasi on his own, in his own way. Very simple person, but he
Right.
got the attention of Queen Elizabeth. Queen, you
Right.
understand what I'm
So
saying?
what a beautiful linking you have done, sir. Maslow law
Exactly.
with our basic chart.
Yes,
This
yes.
all represent the basic chart, and like Maslow's law, all got proved.
Exactly, and that is what is the cycle that you see, or life cycle of human beings. Not only human beings; it can be any being. So these 12 houses are extremely important. Okay,
Oh,
so that means in summary, now we are in the 11th house, right? Whatever incoming gains, and then I told you about eldest sibling in the house.
right.
So whoever is the eldest sibling, they will have their say and authority, right? If 8th or 11th house got some planet like Saturn, for example, they will control you, because Saturn gives the third house effect on your lagna itself, on your ascendant itself. So 11th house is extremely important. Any planet you take, they will do the best in the 11th house. You take even our modern XYZ, planets XYZ of Greenstone logo, you put XYZ there. Of course, the Z doesn't do well there because of 5th house, it gets the own house. Anyway, any planets in the 11th house, I would like to say it will result in some type of gain or the other. There is no dosham for the 11th house at all. A bad planet can be there, a good planet can be there. They will all end up in giving good results, because that is the final peak. I'm not saying it is higher than ninth. Ninth house brings luck in the dharmic way, but 11th house is incoming gains in any form. A person who is sitting in the what is his name in the underworld dawn, right? That fellow also will have a very strong 11th house. Maybe he has Rahu in the 11th house. We don't know. But he will be a very rich millionaire for a while, and after that, he will get into all his karmic activities and he will get the results. If he has done it in a good way, okay. If not, he will also have a very bad death. So I'm talking about Dawood Ibrahim as an
So maybe
example.
the 11th means the, yeah, 11th means the materialistic gain, and ninth means the spiritual gains.
Spiritual dharmic gains, right?
Okay,
Finally,
and
what
11th are
happens?
the more on the material side.
Yes. What in those days when this astrology was created by our rishis, definitely 9th house, right? So they wanted to follow dharma. Dharmic rules were there in the different type of yugas that we mentioned, Treta Yuga or Dwapar Yuga also to
Right.
some extent, and then Satya Yuga and all that. Of course, we don't have all the exact evidences of those yugas, but still we should understand that dharmic way of doing things will finally win, right? So the person who wins, who makes a lot of money, amasses a lot of money in smuggling and all the whatever, I don't want to say, those type of means, illegal means, they will not have a peaceful sleep. They cannot die also peacefully, right? They know they have done
Right.
something wrong with others, and then they cannot be peaceful. So at the end of the day, 11th house shows all the gains, but how dharmically we gain things in this life is very important. All right. So it also represents the network circle in large. So people with 11th house powerful, they can become politicians. Okay. So they will be able to like Narendra Modi, right? 11th house, he has got Pluto there in the eagle avatar. So the whole world will weep one day when Narendra Modi dies, I tell you. So that type of whole world, I am not talking about only India, because he has 11th house Pluto, which is in extremely powerful position. So he will have extremely large contact circles. I just took the example of Modi ji because I love that person. Yeah,
Right.
so that type of person is born once in a millennium, perhaps. Okay, so that's it. And then last one, let's come to the 12th house. So what does 12th house represent? All the isolated places like hospitals, jails, anything which is far, far away from your motherland, which was not known to you before, is 12th house. Okay, so if there is a connection between the first house and 12th house, very strong connection, like for example, first lord goes and sits in the all the way in the 12th house, the person may go to a far different country and settle down there. So that's very clearly seen here. Connection between the 4th house of motherland and also the 12th house also ends up in long distance journeys and permanent settlements. All right, so all about the spirituality is seen here. The ruler definitely is Neptune. We will talk about the rulers in the next video, perhaps in more detail. So overall, spiritual enlightenment and sitting in isolation, praying to God is all seen through this particular house, 12th house. Okay, 12th house represents losses again. Please understand, literally losses. For example, the second house, second lord, when it sits in the 12th house, the person will see a lot of losses in their life. The whatever gained money, when it goes and sits in the 12th house, the person may be gambling and losing money. Very fast losing. I'm not talking about normal business losses. I'm not talking about that. Person will be over greedy, and they may, if their 5th house is weak, they may do speculative business. They lose money overnight. I'm talking about such money. Whenever there is a dasha antardasha of the 12th lord in the chart, they have to be very, very careful. Okay.
Even if like if 12th lord is strong, then also it makes the same thing, or it is opposite.
It has a better drishti. Whenever the 12th lord is strong, it puts you for good in a foreign land, and you will be very famous in the foreign land.
Okay.
You get me? In the motherland,
But in motherland
may
it will
hate
not
them.
be good.
No, in the motherland, that person may be even hated. So he may flee to another country and stay there and become very world famous person also. It is possible. So either way, the 12th lord, when there is a Shubha planet like Brihaspati or Jupiter is there in the 12th house, person can become a saintly person, like Baba Ramdev, right? So he has Jupiter right there in the 12th house. So there is a very good, they spend their life helping others. Okay, you understand this? So of course, it's their loss. They may not physically enjoy things in the life, but they will be helpful to others. That is also possible. Spiritual planets in the 12th house is always good to see. So that's how it is. All right. So otherwise, I think we have completed beautifully all the 12 houses now. We understand which are the 12 bhavas, and there is a connection between each of these bhavas. At least after seeing this video fully, our viewers who are very new to Vedic astrology, they will understand that, yes, every house is interrelated, and we can understand what portion of our life is dictated by what part of our horoscope houses. Right. So that was the aim of this video. I hope it was worthwhile to talk about this. And if there are any questions, people should put the questions in the comment section. Either me or Rajiv will be really glad to take up that in our next sessions. We will be answering them. All right. So if everything is fine, Rajiv, I'm going to close this video. All right. See you next time. Bye-bye. Take care.
Yeah.